Alright guys, so today we're going to be replacing the tie rod ends, the outer tie rod ends on the Cadillac. I already replaced the other side, came over to this side, and it's the exact same, so we're only doing one side today. And it's the exact identical thing on the other side, so I figure I only need to show you guys one side for you to do both sides. But first, we're going to break this nut free right here, but we're not going to take it off all the way. And I'll show you why in a minute why we're not going to take it off all the way. So it's free, right? But not totally off. There's a nut right here, and this nut, if we drop this bar down, this bar will spin. So while the bar's still, this tie rod end's still on, we're going to break this nut free right here, which is going to require a lot of effort. Hopefully not on this side. It did on the other side. So that broke free. Now we're just going to slightly tighten it back down, snug up against this, but not all the way tight. And now try to keep the alignment in place. It'll still have to be aligned after we're finished, but it'll make sure that we do not lose the partial alignment, well, the alignment that's on the car right now. And it'll keep the car driving sort of nicely and not vibrating and shaking like crazy or stuff like that, or really out of alignment, I guess is basically what it will be if we were to take that loose. And now we got to pop this out of place. So we're going to take a crowbar. You can use a hammer, but I couldn't find a small one that I want to use and avoid my brake line. We got to tap this out, and I'm going to hit it here, but you can also hit it here. And I'm going to hit it here a couple times to loosen it. And there it goes. I didn't want to hit it here to start with because this brake line, if I break this brake line, it's not good. So I was trying down there and it broke free on the other side down here. But then I just switched to up top when it didn't. And now it'll just unscrew. If you haven't loosened up this nut here, if you haven't loosened this nut up in here, then this wouldn't spin off freely like this. But it's just free. Ah! But my brake's not hot. I let it cool down somewhat. Anyhow, we're just going to spin this off. My ears are ringing. How about yours? That was loud right here where I was sitting when I hit it. Now, this spin off. And now, if you look at this one, you can see there's nothing on the back of this. And this has an extra long piece on it, right? Now, I'm going to show you the difference between that and the new ones. The new ones, they have this little hole in the back, which I'll be installing grease duct into. That'll allow you to put more grease into this joint here. And this also has a little hole where we'll install a pin when we're finished that'll keep the castle nut on. So we're going to stick this in here. We're going to grab the grease pin and just put in the hole. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. And then take our little ratchet and just carefully tighten it down. And then give it one little half turn. And you don't have to over snug it because it's fine right where it's at. And then we'll screw this one back on. The longest part of the whole job. It's just screwing these on and off. So long. Alright, so we're getting close to the nut. And so as you can see, when we turn, it's going to end up downwards. We're just going to turn it back and face it upwards. And then I'll show you something too. See how loose this one is? That means it's really severely used. And see, this one takes a lot of effort to move, which is a good thing, and which is why we're changing them. Or I'm changing it, she's just recording. Then we're just gonna put this on like this, and we're gonna take this castle nut, and we're just gonna snug it down, and take our ratchet, and we're gonna tighten this down. Now I don't have a bar that tells me how tight I'm tying this stuff down, so we're just going to keep tightening until about where I feel like it's secure but not over time. So about right now I'm putting a little force. We're going to look down here for our holes, and I can see them, and one's right behind here, and it actually kind of lines up straight, but we're just going to make sure it's secure like that. Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit more force on it and just make sure. And give it a little half turn, I guess. And then one little more. And just line up that hole. And now I'm not over tying. I could tie it down a lot more, or a little bit more, I should say. But this will allow it to sit right where it's sitting and not be over tying. Now, as you can see, it's hitting this, which that's in our way now. So we're going to take our fingers, and once it gets through, I'm going to just start bending it. Actually, I'm going to take this. I don't have a screwdriver sitting out here with me. So I'm going to just take this, and as it comes through, I'm going to bend them both out of the way until that it's flat up against it. You'll see here in a sec. See how it's all the way up in that hole? And now I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to bend it, and I'm going to take my fingers and bend it all the way down. And then same with the other side. Okay, there it is. And we're just going to bend it down with our hand. Maybe use this a little bit more. Just because it's up in that tight spot. There we go. And that's all to it. And then we're going to just tighten this bolt back down. See, it twists a little extra, but that's why you need a new alignment, to make sure that it lines up good. We're just going to take this and just crank it down. I'm not over tightening, I'm just snugging it back on there so it's in place. And as you can see, just like that. And you got this grease nut on the bottom, or yeah, grease nut. And so if you ever want to put more grease into this, or you can fill this up a little bit more, it already has grease in it, but you can add some more grease when you get done, just to make sure that you have grease in it. And this was shaking a little bit before I started, and when I put it back on the tires, I'm going to drop one side down, and I'm going to then tie the nuts down all the way. And I'm going to shake my tires again and see if they move at all. Because they shouldn't move now. That should have fixed the problem. And that's all for this video, guys. So please subscribe and leave a like. And if your car's wheels are shaking, check your calipers, check your brakes. Definitely check those brakes. Especially your rotors. Rotors are one of the main problems of shaking, especially when you hit your brakes. Check your calipers because you want to take them off maybe. And check your brake pads while you're replacing your rotors. And if it's not that, if you're shaking all the time, then it's most likely your arms, which I just replaced.